Now, as a rugged man, I don't often find time for quietly reflecting on my feelings, but when I do, there's one burden that weighs on me mighty heavily. A dark passenger I've never shared with any man. That the poor CPU in my gaming PC is cooled by the pathetic heatsink that came in its box. It weren't that I didn't want better for her, it's just, well, it's like that time I drove for days because it seemed better than asking for directions. I just didn't know how to pick one. But thanks to the internet, now I can know enough about any subject to make video guides without ever admitting I had no pre-existing knowledge on the subject. And that's how this one came to be. I started by learning about so-called compatibility. My case can handle a 4 3/4 inch radiator, that's 120 millimeters if you're some kind of sissy or Canadian. But as a rugged man, I believe bigger is better. So after consulting my manual, I eventually chose a 240 millimeter radiator, the largest I could fit in the top of my case. When selecting a tool to remove the unholy abomination that I knew was currently possessing my PC, thankfully, mercy stayed my hand. A true rugged man knows, use the right tool for the job. I unscrewed one corner and then the opposite one, and then the other two in rapid succession before tearing that sucker off to see my processor looking at me with a mixture of fatigue and relief across its heat spreader. For the next step, I gathered the parts I'd need out of the cooler box, 2 cooling fans, and the mounting hardware from my socket that Well, I wish I'd looked at that before confidently chucking the manual in the trash. Which led me to the most important fork in the road of my life I'd ever encountered. A burning question that needed answering before I could go any further. Push or pull? Thankfully, I found this great video on the subject. This guy is anything but rugged, but he suggested having my fans pull air through the radiator and out of the case for a good balance of overall system cooling and ease of cleaning. Something I can certainly appreciate. I ran the long screws through the top of the case and the 4 corners of the fans like a spit through a pig. Then, after some fiddling about, got the first one threaded, and from there, it got much easier to mount the radiator. Then I screwed the hold-down plate to the CPU block, attached my hardware to the motherboard, put on some thermal goop, and tightened the hold-down screws in a cross pattern before plugging power leads for my fans and pump either directly into the board for automatic control or into the power supply if I don't mind them running at full manly speed all the time. With my work complete, I contemplated the sacrifices I'd made, because while frankly the practical benefits of CPU liquid cooling with longer life and marginally better overclocking being among them are debatable at best, what it was really about for me was knowing my battlefield rig weren't relying on the equivalent of a gentle beating of pixie wings to keep her running smooth. Thank you for watching this second installment of How to Do Things the Manly Way. Click here to watch the first one. Click below to leave a like if you liked the video and want to see more. Leave a dislike if manly things bother you, sissy. And check out our merch, contribution, and Amazon links in the video description. Also, always subscribe and follow Linus Tech Tips. Twice a day if you're manly enough.